Here we have a triangle. In a triangle, the measure of the first angle is 4 times the measure of the second angle. The measure of the third angle is 24 degrees more than the second angle. What is the measure of the first angle? Ugh. Okay, let's take it piece by piece. One key piece of information, though, is that we know that all the angles added together equals 180. So on our triangle, we're going to specify our different angles so that we can keep track of everything. So I'm just going to say that this is our first angle, our second angle, and our third angle. Okay? Now you can name them any variable you want. I just chose to use the x. All right, in a triangle, the measure of the first angle, so the first angle is, and I'm just continuing to read this, 4 times the measure of the second angle. So 4 times the measure of the second angle. Okay. And so now the next statement says the measure of the third angle is, so the third angle is 24 more than the second angle. So we have the second angle plus 24. What is the measure of the first angle? Okay, so we also, like I said, we have to write down that one equation that says x1 plus x2 plus x3 equals 180. All right, so now we can substitute into this equation here all of the information that we've come up with for our x sub 1 and our x sub 3, and then we can solve here. So we're just going to substitute those values in. So we know that x sub 1 is 4x sub 2. So we've taken care of that. Plus x sub 2. So we've taken care of that. Plus, now our x sub 3 is over here. It's x sub 2 plus 24 equals 180. Okay, so now that I've written all of that, I'm going to scroll up a little bit so I can write on the bottom of the page. Okay, so we can combine like terms here because we have a bunch of x sub 2. So we have 4 plus 1 plus 1. So we have 6 x sub 2's plus 24 equals 180. So to isolate our x sub 2, we have to subtract 24, and we get 6 x sub 2 equals 156. Okay, so then we're going to divide 156 by 6 because we have to divide both sides by 6 to get the x by itself, and we get x sub 2 equals 26. Okay, so we know this one equals 26. So we need to go back and read the problem to make sure we answered the right question. And when we read it, it says, what is the measure of the first angle? So we actually haven't gotten the measure of the first angle. We have the measure of the second angle. But we do know, based on our equation up here, based on this relationship here, that x sub 1 equals 4 times x sub 2. So we can do that math. X sub 1 equals 4 times the value of x sub 2, which is 26. So when we multiply 24 times 26, we find out that x sub 1 equals 104. And that would be the answer to that particular problem. Continuing on with triangle problems, it says one angle of a triangle is 3 times as large as another. The measure of the third angle is 105 degrees greater than that of the smaller angle. Find the measure of each angle. Okay, so let's go ahead and assign our angles. So this time we'll do it a little bit differently so that you can see that it doesn't really matter. So we'll call this angle A, B, and C. And we'll just decide to use any one of those letters to continue on with the problem. Okay, so it starts out that one angle of a triangle is, so we're going to start with A is 3 times as large as another. 3 times as large as another one of the angles, so I'm just going to use B. because it doesn't really matter which angle, it'll all work out in the end. Okay, and then it says the measure of the third angle, which we haven't used yet, is C. C is 105 degrees greater than, which means we're going to add 105 degrees greater than that of the smallest angle. Okay, well, A equals 3B, so B has to be smaller than A, so we need to put B right there. So A equals 3B, C equals B plus 105, and then we also know that A plus B plus C equals 180 degrees, because that is true for the triangle. So again, we're just going to use these equations that we've come up with from our word problem and substitute these values in for the variables. Okay, so when we rewrite that equation, we have 3B, so we've taken care of that, plus B, we've taken care of that, plus B plus 105, so we've taken care of that, equals 180. Okay, so again, we're going to combine like terms. We have 5B plus 105 equals 180. We're going to subtract 105 from both sides. And so we have 5B equals 75. When we divide by 5 on both sides, we're still trying to isolate B. We get B equals all right, so we have to check to see if we've answered the question. So let's go back to the question, and it says find the measure of each angle. Okay, so we only have one. So we need B equals 15 degrees. So if B equals 15 degrees, we can figure out that C is going to equal 120 degrees because we have 15 plus 105 equals 120. So that's what C equals. So that's 120 degrees. And then we also know that A equals 3 times B, so since B is 15, 3 times B is 45. And if we were to add all of these numbers up, we would find out that they do indeed add up to be 180 degrees. Okay, so the last kind of problem are the rectangle problems. So we're going to find the length of a rectangular lot with a perimeter of 124 meters if the length is 8 meters more than the width. Okay, so we need to find a few things first in our word problem, and then we also have to recognize what the equation of perimeter is. So first I'm going to write the equation of perimeter, and you should memorize this because you need to know it. So perimeter equals 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. And we get that from the fact that perimeter means to go all the way around something. So there's one length, there's one width, there's another length, there's another width. So we did 2 lengths, a length, and 2 widths, a width and a width, and we just added them all together. So that's where we get the 2L plus 2W. Anyway, so now we're going to go to the word problem and look to see some information, find some information there. So we want to find the length of a rectangular lot with a perimeter of 124 meters. So we want to specify that P equals 124 meters. Okay, we next need to know that the length is L equals 8 meters more than the width. So width plus 8, okay? So now we can put these two things together. So we know that the perimeter is 124, so we can write 124 equals, so we're going back to this equation here, so 2L is 2 times L, because that's what that stands for, 2 times L. So we saw L was W plus 8, and then we have to take care of this part, plus 2W. Now we can use distributive property to solve this problem, and we have 124 equals 2W plus 16 plus 2W. Continuing on, we can rewrite this and say 124 equals 4W plus 16. Now we get that from combining our like terms. We now can get rid of the 16 because we're trying to isolate our W. So we're going to subtract 16. That goes away. So 124 minus 16 is 108 equals 4W. So now we're going to divide by 4 to get W all by itself. And I'm going to write that a little bit higher. So we have W equals 27. Okay, so we have width equals 27, and it wants us to find the length of the rectangle. So in order to find the length, we need to take the width value and substitute it into here and then solve for lengths. So length equals 27 plus 8, and when we get that answer, we have the length, which is 35 meters. And that's the answer to that problem. And here's our last problem. The length of a rectangular room is 6 feet longer than twice the width. If the room's perimeter is 132 feet, what are the room's dimensions? Okay, lots of things in here. So let's start knocking these out. The length of the room is 6 feet longer than, okay, so let's start. The length of the room is 6 feet longer than, so plus 6, what is it longer than? Twice the width, 2W. If the room's perimeter is, so P is 132 feet, what are the room's dimensions? So we're looking for L, and we're, whoops, that's a question mark. We're looking for L, and we're looking for W. Okay, so we know that P equals 132, and we know that the equation for P is 2L plus 2W equals P, or 132. So now we can substitute L in for there, so we have 2 times, and we're going to just put that value in there, 2W plus 6 plus 2W, because we have to include that. So we've got that here. We have this here equals 132. So now this is a pretty straightforward equation that we can solve. So we're going to distribute the 2 into the parentheses, so we get 4W plus 12 plus 2W equals 132. Okay, so now we're going to combine like terms. We have a 4W and a positive 2W, so we have a 6W plus 12 equals 132. So we have to subtract the 12 because we're trying to get the W by itself. So we subtract the 12 from both sides. We have 6W equals 120. When we divide by 6 on both sides to make the 6's divide away, leaving us just with W, we have W equals 20 feet. Okay, so going back to the problem, is that what they asked for? What are the room's dimensions? Okay, so we have the width, just like we said we needed. Now we need the length. We can find the length because we have an equation for the length based on the width. So knowing that the width is 20 feet, we can rewrite that equation. Length equals 2 times width, which is 20, plus 6. So 2 times 20 is 40 plus 6. So the length, oh goodness, the length equals 46 feet. So we can put the feet right there, I guess. So there are the answers. Length equals 46 feet, width equals 20 feet.